Draymond, what's the? I mean, you're 7-3, last 10. Do you feel that everything's stabilized, or do you still some things to work on, or what's the mindset right now?
I think we have a bunch of things to work on, but we are stabilized. We're starting to play our brand of basketball on both ends of the floor. Starting to get guys into a groove that we need in the groove in order for us to win at a high level. So I think it's, we're starting to figure it out.
Going back to training camp and even early in the season, guys were saying, the four guys, Steph, Clay, Wiggs, and Jordan, were talking about how there's going to be nights when all four of them are doing stuff. For you, you can feed four guys that are shooting. Tonight they had 92 points among them. What's it like when you have four guys like that all putting shots in, and what does it do to an opposing defense?
It's huge, and it's great for us. I think, for an opposing defense, when you have to, you have to pick your poison, and you got four guys scoring like that, it's incredible. Now, with the style of defense they were playing, it was more just those guys creating. Which was huge. And, there are times where, you're getting them involved with the pass. And then, they're incredible players and incredible scorers. So there are times where they can just get it going. And, our role is to just set good screens and hold those screens and kind of put them one-on-one with the big. And, so tonight was one of those nights, and it was great for us. It was good to see all of them get going at the same time.
Everyone in the West is basically just crammed within 2 games of each other right now. Why do you think that's how it's gone early in the season, where everyone's just basically near 500?
I think there's a lot of parity, in the West. And, I think it's gone like that because we've struggled. It's my opinion, but I don't know. I just think there's a lot of parity. No one has really separated themselves yet, so we'll just have to see how it continues to play out. But I think over the course of this next month, you'll start to see separation created. In my opinion, you're starting to see some teams go on the road and struggling a little bit more. So I think over the course of the next month or so, you'll start to see it kind of play itself out. Some the way we expect it, and you'll see some that may go the opposite way than we expected.
Draymond, when this new rotation to get you, with the young guys in the second unit, you're playing less minutes with Steph. You've always played a lot of minutes with Steph. Sometimes it's altered. What's the different mindset for you when you're not playing with Steph? You look like you're initiating more. Are you just trying to be more aggressive in those key minutes when he's on the bench?
I definitely have to be aggressive when he is on the bench, but also, I understand that I was inserted into that role to initiate offense, to make sure that we're just not coming up with empty possessions. And that's what I'm trying to do. Once you see, we see, we had Jordan who got it working in that unit. You see that working, you go back to that and you kind of milk it. Then we start getting Wiggs on a couple post-ups. And so I think it's just my role to figure out where we are on the court. It's hard sometimes for a coach to get play calls in within the flow of a game, so I just kind of look at it like it is my role to initiate the offense and make sure that we're, getting good possessions each time down.
Following up on Anthony's question, and this can be league-wide or just for your guys' team, 20 games in the past has kind of been like the barometer of this is what teams might be looking like. Do you feel that that's not the case this year, that all around the league 20 games isn't a big enough sample size?
I think it's the case. I think we've just seen so much movement. Half the teams in the league look totally different than they looked last year. We just played one of them that looks completely different than they looked last year. So I think more teams are just figuring it out now. You look around, Portland's a totally different team. Utah's a totally different team. Sacramento's a totally different team. You move over to the East. Atlanta's a totally different team. Detroit keeps getting younger. They're a different team. And so I think Indiana's a completely different team. So when you look around the league, I think guys are really just figuring it out. And, it takes time. And so I just think it's due to the movement that we've seen in our league.
Draymond, the way you guys are passing the ball, I mean, it's 6 out of 7 games with 30 or more assists and 12, leads 12 overall leads the NBA, and it seems like things are just moving more efficiently. And Steve says that starts with Clay being patient, searching for his shot. What's your sense on how that all goes together, and when you guys pile up assists like this and get basketball?
Well, I think it's, Clay's patience has been huge. Clay, his gravity on the floor is amazing. And so when he's just catching the ball and, he drew 2, or, somebody messed up a switch and he moves it on, it's almost equivalent to a guy who handles the ball a lot and break the defense down once he moves it on with the pass. And then we're playing at advantage. And, we have guys who, once they get it out, can make plays. And so I think that's been huge, with Clay just being patient with his shot. And most importantly, it's allowing him to get a rhythm. And so then you see, the 4 straight threes, I think it was, in the third quarter or fourth quarter, whatever it was. Then you start to see that because he's allowing that rhythm to come. And it's huge, and it's really, really big for our team.
You've heard this question before, but what do you guys have to do to take this success at home on the road?
We just got to stay locked in and focus. I think, we're starting to really come together now and figure out our roles on this team, our lineups. And so I don't make too much out of the road record. We understand that, it's early in the season and we're trying to figure it out. But if there's anyone that knows how to win road games, we know how to win road games. So
how much of it is defense? Because going back to the years, you guys would use defense sometimes to take a home team out of a game early.
It's defense. Everything starts with our defense. Our offense starts with our defense. You never. What our offense allows is us to get out and push it in transition, get guys easy looks, and then we're able to set our defense because we're getting easy looks. And so it works hand in hand. And it's important that we go out on the road with that defensive mentality and know that we got to come out getting stops, establish our defensive presence at the very beginning of the game, and then that'll allow our offense to take off.
Dre, you're putting up at a career pace offensively, I think 57% from the field. Do you feel like 2015 Draymond again, where you're attacking and hitting floaters and all that stuff? Do you feel like that?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm in a really good groove. I think I've been finishing the ball really well, and that's really helped me find a rhythm. I put a bunch of time in with Travis this summer on or last couple summers on my finishing, and it's really allowing me to find my confidence offensively. And I know for me it's important to stay aggressive and keep the defense honest. That's what I'm trying to do.
How much of it is health? You feel good?
I feel great. I'll never downplay my health and how important that is to playing well. Quite frankly, especially after going through what I went through last year, I get it. And so health and, being healthy and able to find that rhythm is huge, for me. And just got to keep it going and keep putting the work in.
You mentioned that there's some parity in the Western Conference because of how you guys have struggled. Do you think that you guys are finding a point where you can maybe pull away, or do you feel like there's a lot more to go there?
I think, we're starting to figure it out. I'm not going to get ahead of myself and say we're at a point where we can start pulling away, but I definitely think we're at a point where we're going to start winning more and more games just because we're starting to play our brand of basketball, and, it's been proven that our brand of basketball wins. And so as long as we continue down that path, then I think, we're going to set ourselves up pretty nicely. But it is good that, although we did dig ourselves a hole, no one else really separated themselves. So it is good to know we're in a pretty good spot.
You guys are 4-1 since that team meeting. Must have been one heck of a meeting, huh?
We had good conversation, good film session. Just sometimes good to recheck in and understand what a team needs to win. You go through these seasons and a lot of things get lost in, within travel, family, all the obligations that you have. A lot of things get lost in that. And so there's times throughout the season, and I know that meeting will be looked at like, oh, they were struggling, and now all of a sudden they're playing well. But there's just times throughout the season where you have to check in, and when you check in, what are the things that you're doing well? What are the things that you're doing wrong? Who's doing well? Who's not doing so well? Where do they need to get better at? And relaying those things and helping understand. Because at the end of the day, what is most important on the team and being successful is everyone know their role and can play their role. And so it's just good at times to check in and make sure everybody understand what they need to bring to the table in order so we can be successful.
Kuminga had no shots, no points, but he played a little bit more. He clearly earned some extra minutes. It helped. You could see him maybe more confident, more in the flow. More. What do you see from Kuminga?
He's allowing himself to have a positive impact and not worry so much about offense. And as a young guy in this league, everyone at home is going to tell you, hey, man, you need to score. You need to do this. You need to do that. And the reality is that scoring is not going to get him on the floor on this team. Now, doing what he did tonight is going to get him on the floor, and with the ability that he has, then that will allow him to score. But to go in with a scorer's mentality on this team, it's tough because there are 4 guys that are going to get a bulk of the shots. And so it's just tough to have that mentality. And I think he's starting to figure that out. Just move the ball. If you find shots, you find shots. If not, make sure you're doing something that positively impact the game. And I think I can speak to that from experience. You just knowing that there are so many things on the court that needs to be done in order to make sure the team win, and someone has to do them. And when he's on the floor, he's more than capable of doing them, and he did those tonight, and that's going to continue to earn him more and more playing time.
Draymond, following up on that, Steve said a few minutes ago that asking you, you felt like in your 3rd year you started to impact winning, and for Steph it was in his 4th year he started to impact winning. I mean, do some of the young guys maybe forget that just takes years and time and experience?
Well, I don't think some of the young guys forget. I think we all forget. We all forget the process that you see not quite the final product because we're still working, but you see the final product of Steph Curry. You see the final product of Klay Thompson and myself and Wiggins. Quite frankly, I don't think you see it of Jordan Poole yet. He's still young and figuring it out. And so I think, everybody gets to that point and then you start to see the final product and you forget those early days. But we all went through it. And so I think it's just important for all of us to understand that it takes time and you can't skip the process that you have to go through in order to be good in this league. And, one of the things I've even spoke about with the young guys is just the tough spot that they're in. Jonathan Kuminga's a 7th pick. Moses Moody's a 14th pick. James Wiseman is a 2nd pick. Those types of guys usually are on teams that suck, and they can do whatever they need to do to improve. That's not their situation. They're expected to contribute at a championship level in year 1 last year, in year 2 this year. In year 1 1/4 for James Wiseman, you're expected to contribute at a championship level. The reality is, if you go find the rest of the guys around this league that are their age, and you try to put them in that situation, all of the guys that we're all like, oh man, that guy's doing great and he's going to be this. The reason we feel like that is because they're on bad teams and they can grow through their mistakes. It's not quite the same for those guys, and so in the long run, it'll be better for them having played championship basketball and adjusting to everything they need to adjust to. But right now, you have to grow through those with those growing pains, and it sucks because, quite frankly, we haven't won as much. So then everything is your fault, and it's all coming down on you. And that's where we can make sure that we continue to do our job to win games, so that their growing pains is not so magnified like they have been, because they're going to have them, and it's just no way around it.